All right, let's do this, guys. You are watching the Chad and Cheese podcast. I'm your co-host, Joel Cheeseman. Joined as always, Chad Sowash is with me, and we're talking to Brad Williams, VP of Franchise at Checkers and Rallies. Brad, welcome to HR's Most Dangerous Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank God it's almost lunch.
Yes, thank God that we always schedule the food around lunchtime, which I really appreciate. So some out there aren't quite the fast food aficionados that I am. So give us the elevator pitch on what you do, and also Checkers and Rallies.
Yeah, so Checkers and Rallies, we're a hamburger quick service restaurant. We're based out of Tampa, Florida. We have restaurants in 27 states. And we're roughly two brands that in the early 90s were doing their separate thing. The owners met and said, hey, why don't we do this together? We came together, and now we're Checkers and Rallies drive-through restaurant.
And what's your go-to?
My go-to is the Big Buford. That's our number one combo. Double patty, fully dressed burger. Fantastic.
You don't mess around.
Yeah.
I'm not a fast food guy, but I can never, ever turn down Rally's fries.
That's the number one thing. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah.
So in a freezer aisle at your favorite grocery stores.
That's a true story.
It's true. That's a true story.
Yeah, when I'm out in the field and I've got the Checkers and Rallies logo on, if I'm stopping, checking into the hotel, getting gas, it's always, I love your fries. Yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. Oh my God. So you're not the traditional town acquisition. So you have a lot of cats you have to herd. So can you talk a little bit about the franchise model? You have corporate stores, and then you obviously have franchise. So can you talk a little bit about that before we start digging into the fun?
Yeah, we have roughly, like I said, 800 restaurants, approximately 570 are franchise. That's my division that I oversee. The 220-ish corporate stores we have, they are, we run them like a franchisee would. We own them. So we run a lot of things through our corporate restaurants first. We test, we validate, we make sure there's an ROI. So, when it comes to things and something like Paradox, hey, we've heard about this great thing. Let's make sure it works. And so we seeded it with our corporate restaurants and made sure it worked before we had a plan to take it to the franchisees.
Wow. So talk about that. First and foremost, what was the problem that you were trying to solve?
Yes.
And then why? I mean, did you go through a long RFP process, or did you just wake up in the middle of the night and midnight sweats and say, "This is what we need"? How did you come?
So our head of HR at the time came and said, "Hey, we're seeing this on the corporate side as far as retention, turnover. I've been doing this over 30 years, and turnover's been anywhere between 200 to 300% in fast food. So, for the everyday person, what that means is your staff is 20 people and it's 300%, you're going to hire 60 people that year. So it's a turn and burn. And with traditional, who we were with, won't name names, it was becoming tedious. We weren't getting things pushed to the restaurants. The general managers, our general managers, unlike some other fast food chains, are working managers. They're on the floor constantly. So when you're saying it takes me 90 minutes to do an interview, follow up on paperwork, a background check, whatever that is, we needed to solve for that.
Yeah.
So our HR leader came to me and said, we're going to do this on corporate. As soon as we're ready and we know it works, we'll involve you. And then that's how it came in. And then I started digging a little bit.
Are you viewed as more of a blessing or a curse to the franchisee? Because I could see where we've been doing it this way forever. Yep. We fill our positions, but then I also see, oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you. Let's talk about that.
Here's what I'll tell you about franchisees. Typically, they don't like change. And whether it's good or bad, they don't know it at the time. But I think I've been with Checkers and Rallies 15 years. I think they know when I bring them something, I'm not going to bring it to them unless I know it works. And if I'm going to put my stamp of approval on it, it's going to be good for them and they're going to save money. And in the case with Paradox, we're paying for that on the front end, the initial application. They can glom on their integrations, et cetera. But if I can show them the ROI and the time savings for their people, that's where the rubber meets the road in the restaurant business.
Talk about that stamp then.
Yeah.
How did you find that stamp with the corporates? And then how did you start to roll it out so that you can get that education that happened and then also the adoption that you really wanted?
Our conversational assistant named Mia. And as soon as we turned it on in the corporate restaurants, the applications started coming in. And it seemed like with the previous vendor, they were sort of broken. They weren't always getting to the right place. And then from time of application to time of hire, we went from 9 days to 3 days.
Is that mainly because it was so mobile enabled versus before it was desktop, or what was that? What was the key piece?
I do think it was more mobile enabled versus just a website, waiting for them to complete something on a website being pushed to the owner or to the franchisee or to the operator. The way Mia works, you go through the set of questions that we set up on the front end, and then it looks at the calendar. Do you want to interview on these open days? And so the fact that it's integrated and there's no, me talking to Chad going, can you come in next Wednesday? No, she knows, hey, there's an availability Monday at 4 p.m. Are you available? Do you want to schedule it? It's fantastic.
Going back to the herding cats comment, so much in our industry, we rely on data to make decisions, to make tweaks, to make buying decisions. I feel like your scenario, the data is going to be really hard to make sense of. Talk about how you do that.
Yeah, so I'll give a lot of credit to the Paradox team. Our rollout specialist, Crystal Loera with Paradox, was amazing. I mean, the data we got sent back from a corporate level, from when we started to roll, and then we piloted with our franchise groups to show time from interview start and completion percentage, days off to hire. It was amazing. So the fact that we were able to use that and I could sell that and seed that with franchisees was a huge part of it.
Could you use almost competitions from franchise to franchise and say, look, these guys are doing amazingly well. What's going on over here?
Yeah, great point. Yeah, we actually looked at it because, our biggest group owns 53 restaurants and we have a bunch of one restaurant owners. So we were able to say, look, this restaurant with 53 has interviewed and hired, 28,000 people in the last year. I think at the front end, we looked at it and said the most successful groups that are using this right now are under 3 days for hire, under 3 minutes for the application with Mia. And that was able to really show, hey, this is successful.
Wow. Anything around retention rates or improving on retention or satisfaction around candidates? Do you track that or have any information?
No, not a lot. My gut tells me retention's slightly better because I see other metrics we look at, such as speed of service, the training modules we track, our Google ratings, those are slightly improving. So that tells me that people, time and grade helps on the long run. Yeah. But the other thing is, because of the franchise side, I don't get any turnover records or things like that, other than the data I get from Paradox, really, as far as number of hires.
Now, trying to roll out, and again, back to normal talent acquisition land, trying to roll out to the entire company is hard. This is much harder because you've got corporate, and then you've got to be able to get the buy-in from all of these franchises, so on and so forth. Talk a little bit about, you had a couple of franchises come on, and then was it wildfire after that, or how
yeah? So we knew it could have been a mixed bag, right? If we tell everybody, hey, these 2 franchise groups were very successful, we're ready to open it up, then it becomes, okay, I'm rolling 18 stores in New York, I'm rolling 20 in Florida, then I'm rolling my 6 in Phoenix,
right.
So how do we look at it? So I've got 8 direct reports. They're called franchise business consultants. They live within their markets. And we literally just went FBC by FBC and said, okay, and we did I think it was a 2-week stagger. So we held a rollout meeting. Then, did you sign all your paperwork, your terms of use, etc.? Are you on board? If you did that, you made the next meeting and you went live that next Tuesday. Our weeks run Tuesday to Monday. And that's how we did it, by FBC. And then once we hit all 8, we did a recap and said, anybody that wasn't ready, do you want to come on board now? And I think we had 8 or 10 groups that were in that group.
Wow.
Chad, that's another one in the can. We out.